Is my screen is visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah. So last time we have seen about the entities relationship model. Then we have seen something like entity. In that we have seen weak entity. Then we have come across something like attributes. In that we have seen something like multi-valid attribute. Then we have seen derived attribute. What else is the attribute we have seen? What else? Anybody can tell?
Key
Key
attributes,
Yeah, key
key
attribute,
attribute and
composite
composite
very good,
attributes.
very good. So okay, like that we have been started our class. Then we have been shifted to relationship. In that relationship, we have seen something called one to one, one to many to one, and one to one, or many to many. Like that we have seen. Now here, the same thing. How we going to use this particular diagrams in ER diagram? So suppose if I am writing a single line like this, then like suppose company is an entity, project is another entity. Okay, then if I want to put it in everything, like company is then complete. Company is in one like our college. Their students are there. Okay, their students are going to do the projects. Similar fashion, a company is there. Company is hired with employees, and employees are doing their projects. Okay, so like that, if I want to relate any one-to-one relationship, then I can singly draw one line from one to one. So company is having one employee is having one project. Like this, we can use the one-to-one uh, relationship like this. Now suppose if you want to do one to many, then I'll be having it like this and followed by like that means a company is a single entity for which this is one to many. So that means company have many employees. So if I want to specify that one company has many employees, so many employees means three lines. If I draw like this, that means it is having many employees in that particular company. Okay, so there is a relationship. So relationship here I'll be writing something like it has been hired employees. So many employees. So the company, one company, X company has hired n employees. So employees can be written like this. Suppose if I want many, so if I want many, I'll be using this symbol. So here you can see, if I say one to many, I can have the like this symbol. Okay, so you can see here, I have one to many. That means if it is like this, if I'm saying mandatory, that means compulsory. That means this person should hire 100% many people. So in that case, I should put the arrow mark. That means this is compulsory. So a company is there, it should be hire many people. Okay. Now, one and only one. That means the company has only one employee. A company should have only one brand, or it should have only one finance sector. It should not have not multiple. Or say something like company should open only one bank account. It should not open one multiple bank accounts. In that case, I'll be representing the line like that. That means if I have a single line followed by two double lines, indicates that it is company is holding one bank account only. It doesn't have, it should not have many accounts. So you're restricting it. So if you want to represent such kind of, that means it depend upon the example you taken. So depending upon the example, these are the relationship we are going to explain. Suppose if you want 0 or 1, that is optional. Okay, if you have option, that means it can have, it cannot. So like in this case, we're saying that bank company, you are not cannot say that the bank can open only one account, or student can open. Not for the student. In the case of student, you should student, those who have the join in this college or the school, they should have only one account, because their scholarship and related to anything that will be going to link is only one account. So student should not have more than one account. So in that case, I will say, now I'll be saying that it's an optional. Okay, you may have the account, you may not have the account, which I'm saying. I say that student doesn't, it's not compulsory that you should have a mobile, you carry the mobile or not. So that means I colleges have that. Recently we will be seeing some lot of issues regarding not allowing cell phones in the colleges. So similar fashion here also, I'll say that it's depend upon the management that I may allow, or I may allow one mobile with the student. So it's an option. So in that case, I'll be going for a diagram like this. Now, if I say 0 or many optional, that means I don't have any restriction. You can get the mobiles or you may not. So I may say that, okay, in the first class, in the BCom computer, teacher should bring the mobile phone. Maybe, may not be. Now as I restrict that student of BCom computer, those who are using RDBMS should join or may not join the classes. So in that case, I'll be saying option. So when you think that it's an optional, then I'll be having this kind of thing. So here in this diagram, how I'm using this employees, there are many employees like this. See here, this is the diagram, one mandatory. So this is compulsory. Okay. So compulsory. Okay, I'm having the projects. Now here I am saying like this, zero or nil. That means this employee. So I am the employee of that particular company. I may have the project or may not have the project, or my colleagues may have the project but may not have the project. So it is zero to many options. So it's like this. So I'll be displaying like this. Now here I'm saying mandatory. So this is what you say, it's a mandatory. That means one or more. So it should have the one project or many project he can have. So if I'm saying like this, now here I'm saying he may not have the project. So depending upon the conditions. So like this, the constraints can be developed. Now this is about the one relationship. Now coming to the relationship, we are saying that in attributes, like for every entity, each we will be having multiple attributes. Now multiple attributes have some information. So each have different values. So here the values are say something like I am using something called a student database, that is entity, student entity. In the student entity, I have something like ID, name, roll number. Okay, so when I'm saying ID is some your Aadhaar ID or phone ID or any ID I'm keeping, and I'm saying roll number. So when I'm saying this kind of thing, then I'm trying to restrict the people by having such kind of attribute. So each attribute have multiple values. Now how I can say multiple values? Multiple values are like ID. When I'm saying ID is 104 of one person, 102 of second person, 103 of second. So that means one attribute have many values. So in that particular values, I want to know about the keys. So here I am putting some restrictions. So what are the restrictions I am putting? I have something called a key called uh, so I have different types of keys. Keys is nothing but constraints. So this is nothing but a constraints. The constraints are nothing but set of rules. So how I can have the set of rules for a and attributes. Okay, so this is related to the attributes. So they are something called a primary key, a candidate key, super key, foreign key. So a primary key, candidate key, super key, and foreign key. Now coming to the primary key. Now how I will be going with the primary key. So the primary key will be like this. So when I'm saying primary key, so primary key, as I given the definition to you, you will be having two types. So the definition says that it is mandatory. So I can say it is should not be empty. Okay, not null. That means should not be blank. So here in our,
Unique key.
yeah, in our case, not null means it should not be blank. Okay, should not be blank. So it should not be blank. That is not null, and it is compulsory. The definition says that primary key means we are trying to have the key where the content whichever you are trying to store should not be keep blank and it should be mandatory. Say I have a table. So I have a table with something called a student as an entity as a table where I have something called roll number and name. Say something like this. Then I want to store the information about 10 students. So I'll be storing the students like this. Say so I'm saying one, roll number two, roll number three, roll number four, like this 10 students, say X, Y, Z, M, N, like this. So what is I'm doing here? I'm trying to store the information about the students. So when I'm trying to store the information of the students, saying that this is primary key, saying that this is primary key. So I'm saying PK, so primary key. So when I'm saying primary key means, what is the definition says? It is mandatory. No, that means I cannot store the value called Rajni. I cannot store this. Why? Because this is blank. Okay, it is blank, so it should not be accepted. Okay, then I'm saying I cannot store Rajesh. Okay, I say 1. Now what is in the case here? 1 I have given, it is stored. According to the content definition, it's stored. But what is happening here? Duplicate. See here, already 1 is there and I'm trying to enter the value. That means it's not going to allow duplicate. So the definition says that a primary key is not only mandatory, it is compulsory, should not be keep blank, or you should not put any other spaces or something like that, and it is not allow any duplicate. So it will not going to allow any duplicates. So duplicates are not allowed, so it will going to maintain the unique value. Okay, so I cannot enter the 1 again, so I can go with another number called 5. So then it is accepted. So 5 is not repeated and this I not keeping blank. Now you can keep this one. Now I can say here 6 and I leave it. It will accept because there is no restriction for this column. You are putting the restriction for this particular column only. So if I want such kind of restriction, then I can have the concept called primary key. So I can use the concept called primary key. Any doubt regarding the primary key?
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
sir, some are trying to join, but you are not allowing them. It seems they are texting in the group.
Okay, I'll
So,
check it. I'll check it. But nobody is there in my place.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any doubt regarding the primary key?
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah. Now we'll see the candidate. Okay. Now coming to the candidate key. Again, it is an attribute. So as I told you that keys are applicable for the only for attribute, not for the entities. So either primary key, foreign key, or candidate key or super key, whichever you are going for, it is going to applicable only for the attributes. So a candidate key is an attribute or set of attributes. So in this I can have the, now primary key when I'm saying only one attribute. Okay, now here I'll be having multiple attributes which can be uniquely identified. Now how I can attribute, except the primary key, whichever the other attributes are there, okay, except the primary key, are considered as a candidate key, and these are as strong as primary key. These are all as strong as primary key. Say if I take the example of now the example of student, whichever I've taken, there you'll find something called student ID, student name, address. Then I say Aadhaar card, contact number. Now when I'm saying Aadhaar card and the contact number, in that Aadhaar card is the candidate key. Okay, okay, much stronger than the primary key. Okay, okay. So why I'm saying this one? Because it's a totally unique from the others. It is totally unique from the others, saying that I'm trying to maintain more powerful than the primary key. So here it is saying that Aadhaar card Aadhaar number is in a candidate because it's not a primary key. Now primary key, what it's saying, you have to maintain the data, you have to enter, it is mandatory, and the whatever you are doing, it's a uniqueness you have to maintain. But here what I'm saying in the candidate key says that it is the attributes, the remaining attributes, which has more stronger than the primary key. Okay. There. Coming to the super key. So when I'm saying super key, so when I'm saying super key is a set of attributes which is uniquely identified. Again, it's a combination of multiple attributes. Now how I can differentiate this is a superset of the candidate key. That means it is not the primary key, not the candidate key, it is topper of the topper of the key. That means it is superset. That means to the candidate it is a super. That means it's like a parent for the student. So how I can identify this one? By saying something like I have something called student ID, student name. Okay, these are the two values I'll be taking from the student database in the student table. But you can see the ID. Okay, ID cannot be same, hence the combination can be also the key. So I'm saying that I can have the ID is what? Uniqueness I'm saying. So what is happening over here? For the id is the super, that means it is on the topmost one. It's like a primary key, it's like a primary key. But in the table have other attributes. I have something called ID is there, name is there. So in the ID and the name, what is the topmost about that? So I cannot have the name, so name cannot be can be expected same, like Sunita is there, Sunita can exist, but ID which is there, it is not going to exist. That means it's a super key for the primary one. Okay, we'll see the example, then only we can understand the concept. Just you know the theoretical part, then we'll be seeing the example of this. Then coming to the foreign key. Now when I say foreign key will be like this. When I say foreign key, it is dependent on this particular primary key. It is dependent on primary key. How it is dependent? Because it, when I am saying foreign key, it is references. So it is going to refer. So it is going to refer the table. Like I have a table of student. So student table is there. So I have a student table. Then I have a fees table. So here roll number 1546. If it is there, then only the fees section can collect the fees of that particular number 1456 many times. So he'll be paying first semester fees, he pays second semester fees, he will pay third semester fees. But here this is repeating. But what I'll do, I'll put the receipt number. So I'll be having another column receipt. So receipt number is 0001, receipt number 002, receipt number 003. That means this is the receipt. Okay, R number, so receipt number. So receipt number is different, but the candidate is same. Now I cannot allow the person whose roll number is 1555. I cannot allow this person because this number does not exist in this particular student table. That means he is an outsider, he is coming for to pay the fees. Okay, if that is the case, it will not allow, because it will say that I don't find this number in this. When the person is having this number 1555, if I have this number, then the person can pay the fees. That means this number is referring this particular thing. So it is a foreign key. That means these data wherever you are using, whatever the data you are using in the some other entity, so this is a some other entity, that value are coming from the master table. So this become the child table, this become the child one, and this become the master table. So the master table is linked to the child table. So that means that whatever the data that is there in the master, those data can be accessed in the child table. So how it will be linked? Using my foreign key. So with the help of my foreign key, I try to link the two or multiple tables where it says that I'm trying to refer the values in my table are coming from the master table. So here when I'm saying this one, whichever the table you are linking, in that you should have the primary key. If the table doesn't have the primary key, if the table doesn't have the primary key, I cannot link the table to like this. That means if I want to link these two tables, if I want to link these two tables, this table should have primary key. This should table have primary. Other than that, I cannot link this. So the two tables or multiple tables can be linked. The linked table should have the primary key. This is what the definition you have to understand. So foreign key is a reference of the other table. It's a reference or it is going to link the master table. I am the child table. Okay. So this is about the keys. Okay. Now we'll see the different things. So we have seen the derived one, we have seen this one-to-one relationship, then we have seen the next one uh, is generalization and aggregation. So our next topic is generalization and aggregation. So if I want to know about the generalization and aggregation, I should be perfect in the ER diagrams. So we have seen the ER diagrams is consisting of entity relationship diagrams. Or in that you have seen about the entity, we come across the entity, we come across the relationship, we have come across the attributes. Now in the entity we have seen the diagram, like it will be represented in the form of rectangle. So we have seen such kind of things. So we have seen the rectangle diagram. So this is the rectangle one we have seen. Okay, so this has been entity, right? Then we have thought about the attributes. In the attributes we have seen it will be used in the eclipse also. Okay, then we have seen something called derived one and composite one, key one, like this you have seen. So we have seen the composite one. The composite we have all been explained how it has been explained, that if one attribute is have, in that attribute we have lot of multi attributes. So this is the example which you have come across. Say I have first name, last name, middle name, so I can have the another one also. So I can have something called middle name. Okay, I can have the middle name. Okay, so I can have the middle name, so I can have like this. Okay, this is what the composite we are seeing. Then we are seeing multi-value. Okay, so multi-value means I can have more than two mobile numbers. So I have been explaining about this in the previous class. Then we have seen something is defined from the birthday. So I have been given the example. So based upon the date, based upon this particular date, that age will be going on changing. So how it is said, this is depend on this particular attribute. So we call this as a derived attribute. So all this we have come across. Then we have seen something called relationship. In the relationship we have seen one to one. Okay, we have seen one to one like this. Then we have seen one to many, we have seen. Then we have seen something called many to one concept we have seen. Then we have seen many to many. These are all the example come across. Now here we'll be finding the important one, generalization and aggregation. Okay, now how I will be going to know about the generalization and aggregation. So going to the structure of the generalization, where the entities are clubbed. Okay, entities are being clubbed together to represent the generalized view. Okay, that means many entities. So more than one entities have been going to combine together to represent as a single view. For example, student names Mira is there can be generalized along with all the students. How it will be joined? Entity shall be a unity, that is student, and further the student is a person. So who is the student is a person. So the reverse is called the specialization. So the reverse of this is called as a specialization, where person is a student and student is Mira. So if you see, this is specialization, this is generalization. What I'm saying, a student is Mira, a student is a Mira called as a student, and he is a person. Now when I'm saying reverse, person is a student, okay, and she is Mira. In that case, we are saying specialization. So how I'll be trying to analyze this one? The main thing is that you have to understand in over here that entities are being combined. Okay, that is clubbed. Okay, how it is in club, I'll be telling you. Say example, I have a pigeon. Okay, I have a pigeon. I have a pigeon. I have a sparrow. I have a dove. Now these are all our entities. Now all these entities, I can say that these are comes under one category called birds. Okay, generalizations. Okay, so how I can say that? How I can, the definition says that generalized entities contain the properties of the generalized entities. So it is having the generalized entities. So it is been entities. So other entities where it is going to tell that similar characters. So if I have similar characters, then that all together can be generalized into single. Now, this is what the generalization concept. Very important one. You have to understand very carefully. Okay. So generalize is what? Generalization is what? Combination of multiple attributes into a single attribute. Okay. So if you think that the characteristics of entity are similar, so that if the characteristics of the one entity has similar characters of different one, then all thing will consider into a single attribute, a single entity. So in that case, we call as a generalization. Now coming to the specialization, it is opposite to the generalization. So already I told you it's a reverse. So in the generalization, group of entities divided into subgroups. So what is happening here? Entities has been divided into subgroups based on the characters. Based on the characters. So example, as I said, I am the person. A person have the name. A person has a date of birth. A person has a gender. So I'm trying to divide that. So the properties of the common persons or the human beings, okay, or the company person are been identified as an employee, employer, customer, or vendor based on what role they play in the company. Okay, so here the persons are taking, so employees can be a person, employers also can be a person. So depending upon, or customer also called as a person, vendor also called as a person. Now these are all are different person, but how it will be based on the company to company, this person will be changed. So I'll, my designation and the role or whatever it is will change. So that means what is happening with that one entity, I'm trying to divide into subgroups, then that concept is called as a specialization. Yeah, I changed to other device.
So your voice is breaking.
Right? Yeah. So here you will find the person. So I am trying to, from the person, I'm trying to distribute that, okay, he is a student and he is a teacher. So I'm saying that these are the two different entities. So this is also an entity, this is also an entity. So when I'm trying to say these are the two entities, okay, so how it has been subgroup, or it has been divided from the person entity. So in order to say that it has been subgroup, then I had to use this symbol saying that it has been splitted into two parts. Okay, two different entities which are the group of the person. So in order to say that, I have to draw this particular diagram. Okay, this is a symbol of specialization. See, this is the example. So you can see the example. So person, a person has a name, a person has a age, and a person has a gender. Now I'm taking the person. It can be any person. So is a student, it can be student, it can be employee, it can be anything. It can be teacher. Okay. So it has been divided. So when I'm taking student and the teacher, these are the, what are this? These are the entities. From where it is coming? From the person. So this is your specialization. Then he is having the extra one. What is having extra? Roll number is having, here we have employee ID. But apart from that, he is having the name, age, and gender. So this can be given to the student. This can be given to the employee. So these are the three things are common for the person. So these are the common for all the persons, whether they are the student, whether they are the teachers, whether they are the employees, okay, whether they are the anything. Okay. So for them, these three are the common. Apart from that, they have depending upon the role, So if he is a teacher, so he will be having the extra thing is ID. Like this, I can specify the concept. Okay. So I was talking about the many times I'm telling that this all will be whatever the concept you are learning in the DBMS is based on the CORD rules. EF CORD rules in 1970 he has given. So he has been called as a Dr. Edgar F. CORD. So EF CORD rules. So in 1970 he has been given this all CORD rules. As I told you that we have total 12 CORD rules. Now if you come across this is very important. Based upon that only we are going to go over the normalizations and all the things. Okay, so he has done the research on the RDBMS. So one of the research he has made in the RDBMS that those who having this rules has been satisfied, so those we call as an RDBMS. So if the RDBMS satisfies this 12 rules, then we call that as an EF CORD rules, and it has been called as a real model database management system, that is relational database management system. So how it has been coming to him that he has given some rules. What is that rule? The rule number is what? Information rule. Okay, how it will be? Data is stored in the database, maybe the user database or the metadatabase. Metadata must be value of some table or a cell. Everything in the database must be stored in the table format. This is what the important one. That means what is that? I have said that table is a combination of rows and a columns. As I told you, this is the definition of the tables and the column. So this part, intersection of X and Y, this part we call as a cell. That means whatever you are storing is normal text or any text or any file, whichever you are storing, whatever you are storing in that particular table, in whichever the manner, the data should be available. So in what format? In the table format. That means whichever the content you are trying to pick up from the cells is nothing but information. That's nothing but information. How I to store? In a form of table format. Then the second one is guarantee access rule. Every single data element value is guaranteed to be accessible, logical with combination of table name, primary key, and attribute column name. No other means such as pointers can be used for the accessing of data. Now, this is very important. Now, if you see this one, now what is happening? Every single element, that is this particular data, now this one or this one or this one, whichever the data that you are finding on this, it should be accessed logically. Logical means how I'll pick up this. I have to write some query. So example, I'll be saying that I want the roll number of 1546, his name and contact. Or I want to his, I know there is a name, in BCom computers, there is something called Ashwini is there. I have our number 1546, but I don't have her contact number. Can you give me the contact number? So if I ask you, then what you'll do, you'll just check it in your mobile contacts and you will be finding whether the Ashwini is there and she is having the contact number or not. So like that, logically, I'll try to ask the combination. So here, what is the combination I ask? I have the roll number, I have a name. So with the two combinations, I tried to pick up. Now when I'm asking that, I had the name and I got the combination of the roll number. So I can use the roll number or may not be use the roll number, but I'll try to trace it out. So here, I'll take the help of the name, table name. So table name is what here? Student database. So what you'll do, if I ask Ashwini contact number, you'll check in your contacts. So what is contacts? Contact is the label of that particular app. So here table name, then key. So any key, it can be a column name or it can be a row value. So whichever it is. So with the help of those things, I'll try to get it. Now what is he saying? You cannot access the data using a pointer. Now this is what the pointer concept. If you know about the C and C++ language, with the help of pointers, I'll try to pick up the data. That means I know if I know the space and the place of that particular data that has been stored on the hard disk. So where I'm storing my all the database on my hard disk only, which format I'm storing in the form of table. So through the table only I should be able to retrieve, but it is not like that. This data has been stored on my hard disk. Okay, my data has been stored on the hard disk. Okay, so with the help of location of the address, so with the help of pointer concept, what I'll do in the C and C++, I have the pointer concept. So what the pointer concept will going to do, it will going to verify the address location on the hard disk, at which position, at which place the data has been stored. I can pick up with the help of the address of the memory where that is been stored. So the pointer will going to store the address. So for that means if this is my location, now this is my entire hard disk. Okay, this is my entire hard disk. So if I know the address where my data is there, so here is my data, or here is my data, here is my data, somewhere it is there in my data. So if I know the address of this, I can pick up the data. So how it is possible? With the help of pointers that is used in the C and C++. Okay, so it is, he's saying that you should access the data from the table only, not the concept of this one. Okay, here also the data is the same, that the same data that has been stored in the table, it is also stored on the hard disk. Okay, you retrieve from here, don't directly retrieve from here. What is saying that you don't retrieve data from directly here. That is what the guarantee access rule. So don't you pick up from the data from here only, it has been stored here. Okay, don't go where the actual data has been stored, don't get it, pull down the data from here. So if you do that, then there is no guarantee of your data, because everybody can go and scratch your data. So they can scratch the data. That's why if you see, the pointer concept has been not given the permission to the users or the programmers in Java. So if you see the Java, in Java we don't have a pointer concept. If you see in the C and C++, we have the pointer concept. But in Java it has been removed because there is a security problem. If I know the everybody's address where the data is there, actual location of that, then I can go there and I can easily destroy the data. So I should not have that kind of concept. So he's saying that don't use the through pointer concept, don't get the data, you get the pull down the data from the table data. This is what the second rule. Okay, then coming to the third one, systematic treatment of null values. So what it is saying, null values. So what I say null value, what is the definition of the null values? That means I have some space, I leave it this one. That means furthermore, tomorrow or day after tomorrow or after a couple of months, I will try to fill this. I'll try to fill this with some data. Okay, so null values in the database must be given in a systematic and uniform treatment. This is very important rule because null can be interpreted as one of the following: data is missing, see, data is not known, data is not applicable. Okay, null means not blank. Furthermore, right now something is missing, tomorrow I'll try to fill that, or right now I don't have a data, it's not available, or it is not applicable to that person. Okay, in that case, that means every table, it should have the position of something like null values. So systematic treatment of null values. So like I'll be saying, so example, I'll be saying, sir, I want to fill an application, I want to join to AMS Scholar. So you'll be saying that, okay, you fill the application, there you have all the details you furnish. There you'll be trying to say that in that there is one box saying, asking you to give the contact number, preferably WhatsApp number. If I ask them, then saying that, sir, I don't have the contact number, my contact number is, right now I didn't took my mobile number, or I don't purchase the mobile. Right now I will not stay here, or I'll stay, but I don't have contact number. So once I get the mobile, or if I get the SIM card, I activate it, then I'll give the contact numbers. Okay. Or my father's having the number, can I give it? No. They'll say, no, I want your number only. So if they say that, they will be taken. That means in future purpose, the right now the data is not available with me. I cannot say that person, okay, if you have the contact number, then only join the college. It's not like that. Okay, so data is missing. So once the data is missing, I should be, so it's like that. So I will be saying that my third rule says that now allow the not null values with according to the systematic treatment. Then coming to the fourth rule, active online catalog. Now what is this active online catalog? Saying that a small description, so the structured description of the entire database must be stored on an online catalog. We call this as a data dictionary. Okay, why it is required? Because in future the authorized users will go into access it. Okay, then instead of going for that, okay, the particular table, if they have catalog, directly they can jump to that particular thing and they can cross verify. Saying like, I should have some catalog. Like if you go to the hotel, as I told many times, the example I am giving, you will be having a menu card. So you will be not going to the bawarchi and the kitchen room of the hotel and see what are the things and items has been given and what is cooking and all that. So we are not going to bother about that. Simply we will be having on the table one catalog. Seeing that catalog, we are trying to order it. There, what you will find the catalog, like item names will be there. Items are being categorized into different parts. Say something like vegetarian, non-vegetarian, South Indian, North Indian food. Like this, they'll be having subheadings. Under that, again, you will be having the like items. So today's special tiffins, if you say. So tiffins, you will be saying on the title tiffins. So you'll be going to the catalog tiffins, and in that you will be saying puri and the other thing. Then if you say the puri, the cost will be given, and it will be saying for one plate 2 puris, or for one plate 4 puris. They'll give clearly mentioned. That means instead of going for the depth and all the things, I see the catalog and I can analyze that. So similar fashion, active online catalog should be provided so that authorized users. So authorized users means other cannot be used, that those who are having the permissions, those only can use that particular data dictionary. So user what will do? Normal users simply they'll use the queries to retrieve the catalog. That means as I told you, I'll prepare the catalog for the customers, and customer will see the catalog and they're going to order the items. Now this is what the catalog means. So the fourth rule says that active online catalog. Okay, then coming to the fifth rule. Fifth rule says comprehensive data sublanguage rule. Now what is this? So I have something called database can only access using languages. So I'll be using something called SQL language. So when I'm saying SQL language, apart from that, you should not access any other language. So I cannot say that you take the Java language and put it you take this PHP program and put it. It's not like that. It has some language. So it's prescribably we have some languages for designing the database. Say something called MySQL. In that you have something called SQL commands. So like this, which is going to, what the operations it will going to do, it will do some of the operations such as data definition, okay, data manipulation, data transactions, such kind of operations, okay. For this we have some special languages we are working. So we have to work with some special languages where it should be accessed or to be manipulated or to be stored in the database. So I cannot use any other languages for doing such kind of things. So I have some, that means whichever the language, whichever the software you are using, that software should have this kind of features. What are the features? Definitions. That means I can create the structure. Then manipulation. I can add, edit or delete. So this is manipulation. Then transaction. I can withdraw, I can deposit, or I whenever I want, I can check the status of the amount. So this is what the sample example I'm telling. So like this, every database has its own language. It should follow their own languages. Okay. This is what the mean to tell about the comprehensive data sublanguage rule. Then coming to the sixth rule, view updating rule. That means whatever the views you are doing, that means theoretically, if I say, like I want the status of the student, whether he paid the fees. If he paid the fees, just I want to know how many backlogs he is having, and also tell me that what is the percentage. So what is the query I was asking? The query is that I want to know the status of the student, what is the amount he paid, if he paid, what is the percentage of him, that person, and he do have that person any backlog. So theoretically I was asking, that means I should have the position to retrieve the data from the system, from the computer. I should take the system that, okay, if I type the enter of that particular number, then it should go to the fees section and it should collect the what is the fees of that particular student till now he paid that amount. Again it should jump to the examination branch. From that it should pick up the backlog content. Then from that again it should jump to the teachers section. There the teacher section should give the attendance of that person. That means how many tables that person is reflecting? 3 to 4 tables is reflecting. So your question is 1, but I'm trying to theoretically I ask the question. So systematically how it will be in the system, it will touch the fees section. From the fees section it will jump to the examination section. From the fees section, the examination section, it will go to the teacher section to get the attendance percentage, to get the backlogs, examination branch, get the fees from the. So what is happening? It should give the view. View is what I'm asking the query. So query is what it should display your information. Yes, he is having this much of amount he has paid, this much is due, he having backlog so and so, otherwise it doesn't have any backlog, and his percentage is less than 75 or more more than 75. I want this information. So for you says just okay, how I can get it? Manually I can say. That means the student has to visit the fees section. He go on the receipt, he has to take the fees, then he has to go to the examination branch. That means what is happening? Manually if you go, he has to visit 3 places. Similar fashion, the computer also go to the 3 different tables and it will pick up the data relevant based on the key. Here the key is what? Your roll number. So it will go there. If the data is there, up to updated data I will be going to get. That is what he says. So theoretically, whatever you are asking, it should be updated on the system. Then only I can view. So whatever the database I want to view, theoretically, whatever you are saying, it is should be updated in the computer also. So this is what the rule of 6. So viewing of updating rule. Then coming to the 7th one, insert, update, delete rule. So the name itself, it says, I should able to add the data if the new people are coming. So today I was asking, since 2 to 3 days I was asking, students, your name is displayed, but your roll number is just not there. So you are saying, sir, I am a new student, till now I didn't receive the. I should be able to add his name. So I added the name. Then what I'm saying, your roll number is missing. So after a couple of days, you got a roll number. Then you are saying, sir, I got a roll number. Can you update in the group? So I'll be updating. Then if you have finished your course, or if the data is nowhere used in our college or somewhere, then if you think that it should be permanently deleted, then you say delete. So like this, I should have this kind of concept. So this says rule number 7. So rule number 7 says that you should have the insertion, updation, deleted. It must not be limited. So it should not limited to only one. As I told you that this is a table, I have n number of columns and n number of rows. It should not say that I can add only 50 students are there, so I will add only 50 students. So I have the only this table capacity is 50. I should not have the any other thing that okay you want not you cannot add 51th row or 51th record, something like that. You should not be limited. So whatever you are adding, it should not be limited. Okay, not to a single row or not to a sum. It should be also support union, intersection, minus operations. Now, what is this union, intersection, or minus operation? If you have gone through your mathematical subject in I think 8th, 9th, 10th, or 9th or 10th, you have something called A is equal to something called 1, 2, 3, 4, is something like this. If you have gone through your mathematics equation, something like this, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you have something called B is equal to something called 5, 6, 7, something like this. Then I'll be saying A union B, that is intersection. So union means all. So I'll be saying something called here 1, 2, 3, 4 are there. Here 5, 6, 7 are there. So A union B is nothing but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is what I'll be saying. So union, that means combination of all. That means I can able to combine two tables. So here this is one table. Assume that this is one table. This is another table. If I say union, I should able to position and I can display that into single table also. So this is union. Okay. When I say intersection, what is intersection? Already we have seen the concept in the mathematics that intersection is if whatever that is matches in the both the things. Okay, so here I have empty set. Why we call this as an empty set? Because if you say here intersection, neither in this or neither in this any data is reflected. So suppose here if I say I have 6, 1, 2, 4 and 6 is there, and here it is, then A intersection B is 6. That means here 6 is there and here also 6 is there. That means intersection is 6. So I should get the output like this also. If it is not there, it should say empty set. If it is there, it should display 6. Like this, if I combine the table, it should support the intersection concept also. Then when I say minus, you know, whatever that is matches, you remove it, rest of the things you remove. So if I here say, I will say remove this. So I will be striking over here. So if I say minus, so here whatever the number that are there. So so what is happening, I'm saying, so when I'm saying A minus B, okay, so here I'll say to the normal position. So if I say A minus B, then my output for the A minus B is what? 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I say reverse, B minus A, then my output is 5 and 7. My output is 5 and 7. So if I say A and B, whichever that are left out, that means the matching from the both the tables, remove it, and you display the data from the A only. If that is A minus B. If I say B minus A, the data that has been matching, remove, and B is the prior one, so display. So whatever you have done in the mathematics, the same combination. So here also high level insert, update, delete should be applied, as well as it should support the union, intersection, minus operation on the set of data records. So how this is one set of data records, that is one entity, this is another entity. Okay, so entity has this records and the another entity has this records. When I say union B, all should be come. When I say intersection, matching should come. When I say minus, that means matching should be removed, and depending upon the priority, the data should be displayed. Now this is what your rule number 7 says about
high level insert digit update row. Okay, now coming to the physical data independence. Okay, when I'm talking about that, we have different kinds of data independence. One is physical and another is logical. Okay, now when I'm saying physical, we are storing the data. Okay, so when we are storing the data in the database, it should be independent. It should be independent. It should not be like I cannot go with an only one operating system. See, I'm using Microsoft. I'm not flexible with Microsoft. So yesterday I was taking on the free conference app. Before that, I was telling about to join the Google Meet. Now I'm telling about the Zoom. That means these are the three different platforms. They are independent. That means why independent? Because it will work on any of the any mobile. Okay, it should be supporting the any mobile. Okay, now what is a mobile device? Our mobile device is Android mobile device. Somebody will be having OS like Apple OS is there. Now in that also the three things should be applicable. So that is what the independent. So here when I'm saying physical data independence, any change in the physical structure of the database must not have any impact on how the data is being accessed by the external applications. Okay, so if I'm using any third party application, with the help of the third party application, I'm trying to retrieve the data. So when I'm trying to retrieve the data, it should not disturb the original data from my database. So I'll be using GUI, because when I'm going with the RDBMS concept as a programmer, I'll be writing the lot of syntax and all things. But as a developer, I require that one. But for the layman, those who are going to use, like as I given the example, like you are going to rail ticket. There, what you'll do, you'll take the form, you fill it, that person will going to give the ticket to you. Then thereafter, you'll go to the one system. There you'll be entering the PN number to know the status of your, whether your ticket has been confirmed or not on so and so date. Now, for that, do you require that how the system is going on? Is that how it is storing? How I'm getting? Is it necessary for you? So there you'll be having a way of method. One, you will be having nowadays, we will have one computer over there. Simply you type the PNR, it will give the state. Suppose the computer has been got failure due to some network problem, then what you do, you go to the inquiry section. That there the one person will be sitting, you'll give the ticket to him. Then you are asking, so he should not say no, it's not my duty, go and ask the computer, you get the, it's not like that. So external applications are in real world like this. So it should not say that either the query box or the counter or the machine should be able to give the answer whatever you have the query. So that is independent. So the physical data independence is like this. Now when I'm coming to the logical, okay, now database logical must be independent to the user view of application. Okay, any change in the logical must not affect the application using it. For example, I have two tables, I have merged or I have split it into different tables. There, it should not impact the changes of the user application. Now, what is happening in the, now previously I have been physically, I have been wandering over here. So as I told you that the example of PNR status. So in the PNR status, what you are doing, you are going to approach the computer. So in the computer, it is saying your status has been not confirmed or it is confirmed on so and so date. You have been ticket is reserved. Then you may have doubt, okay, whether it's correct or not. So either your uncle, your aunt, or mom, or grandma say, oh, you no, first you go and ask the counter also whether it's really confirmed or not. They have some questions, they may have some doubt. Then they'll go to the person. Then he'll be saying, oh, it has been not confirmed. Then you'll be get confused. Okay, that person saying correct and the computer saying wrong. What is this? Which you have to consider? It's not like that. So both the information should be correct. So logically, what did he wants to say that I have a bigger database. I have bigger tables. I have hundreds of tables are there. So what I done, instead of writing putting everything in one table, I have been split it into multiple tables. Then I have only one application. So whenever I'm entering the values, automatically the relevant data should be go and store into the different tables. Say suppose like I will be asking my name. Okay, I'll be having different data. So it should store in the profile. My application is normal. Now I have the application. I have an application where it is be asking my name. So I will be going into my name. So I'll be having the name. So I'll be entering, say something called, it will be asking in the form, online form or the manual. I have the name. So name I'm entering. I have phone number. So I'll be entering the phone number. I have something called address. So I'll be entering the address. Okay. Apart from this, it will be asking details of your family. Okay. Like how many children are going. Okay. Whether they are been adult. Okay. How much half ticket you want. Like will be, I have the family count. Then I have the another one. You will be having two invoices. Like how much amount is required. Okay. Amount will be there. How much you are paying. Okay. Then another copy will be there, office copy also. Why this all things will be there? Because if something, if you have missed this, I can have the office copy. I can go over there, I can get the office copy. Then this data, but for me it is single file. For this is a single paper or a single form. Okay, I'm trying to enter all this in. But backside of this, what is having? I don't have a single table. I have multiple tables. I have multiple tables. So if I say profile should be stored in this. Okay, family details should be stored here. My payment details should be paid over here. So like this, from the application, it should be stored either if it is related to only one table. So if you say physical database, so I will have only one table. All data will be stored over here. So I don't have any problem. But this is going on increasing with lot of columns are there, which I cannot handle over here. So what I did for my convenience, I made into distributed. So this is what the concept of centralized database. I made it to a distributed data. So I try to split this into different parts. Now, whenever I have anything I want, I just with this application I can store in the different table. So it should not reflect. That means if I tomorrow, if I put all this in this, if I change this all tables into a single, this should not be changed. It should not have any effect on this. Either over here or there over here. If I use multiple applications also, according to that, the data should be stored. It should not reflect or does not change. Okay, if you are changing this, it should also change. If you are changing this also should. It's not like that. If it is fixed, you see that it should not reflect on this particular application, or it should not reflect on this. This is what the logical data independence. Okay, then coming to the 10th one, that is integrity independence. It is one of the most important rule. That is database is independent, as we have confirmed in the ninth and 8th. Okay, independent is okay of the application that the users. Then integrity constraints rules can be independently modified without the need of any change in the application. This rule makes the data independent of the front-end application. So this is front-end, it's a GUI. So we call this as a GUI, graphical user interface. So RDBMS is a back-end application. Okay, it's a back-end process. Applications which the users are using, it is front-end application. Like you are using those applications, you are using scholarship applications, or you are using some any competitive exam or group 1, group 2. You will be using one application where you are going to enter the data. Now that data should not try to change the rules of the table. Okay, so here what is happening when I'm one application? So suppose Monica is using one application front-end tool, then she has entered her name, she has entered the ID card details, she has been entered Aadhaar number, everything she has entered. Okay, then if some other person with the name Monica is trying to enter, it should not mix up with the old. Okay, Monica is already there, you should not enter. It should be depend upon the other keys also, constraints. Like here I have been saying 10th I'm based on the 10th SSC memo. ID number is there. Here she'll be okay. Though she is a Monica, her SSC all ticket number is different. So two are different. So integrating there itself, I should able to allow. Okay, I should allow the person. Okay, this person is different. This person is different. Like that, I should put the restriction on the database in such a way that even it should not do any kind of harm to the application. That is for front-end application. Okay, then coming to the another F-card rule, that is distributed independence. Now what is distributed independence? Where it is going to occur? It will occur for the end user, the person who is going to use code as an end user. So must not able to see the data is distributed over the various locations. This is very important.
As I told you just now, one example, PNR number. When I'm entering the PNR number, I am the person who will only to the like, okay, whether my ticket is confirmed or not. That is what I want to need. How it is there, where it is there, is it necessary for me? So whatever that is, that means how it has been scattered. Now here it is, you can see independent, integrity independence, logical independence, physical independence. What is happening? My data has been got distributed and it has been stored in different places. For my convenient purpose, I made like that. But for the user, whoever the person who's using that, he should not know that this data has been separated in different tables, so that if I came to know, then what I'll do, I'll directly go there and I can destroy the content, so that there is no security for me. So my data is not integrity. So I should not know, as a user, I should not know where my data has been got distributed on various locations. User should only knows what that data is located only in one site. That is what I was telling. As a user, I should know that I have to enter. So I am using this application. It is storing somewhere. That only I know. Yes, I know that only. But if I try to know also, I should not be able to give any kind of information. What is happening in the backend? This is trying to distribute in different locations, which the developer who has designed this, those only can know this. Okay, those only can know that this has been split share. But as a user, he doesn't know. Okay, so he should know that only that, okay, I am doing this, it is stored somewhere in the location. So this is rule has to be regarded as a foundation of the distributed database system. Distributed database, how it has been, this is what the main foundation for the distributed database system. Okay, then coming to the last card rule, what the EF has been given is non-subversion rule. If the system has been interfaced, that means I have a GUI, this is any GUI, provided access to low level records, then the interface must not be able to subvert the system and bypass the security and integrity constraint. Now this is nowadays happening. This is what ethical hacking. Okay, very important. That means suppose I am the user. Okay, I am the user. I came to know that my information is stored here. Okay, and from this I know the information is stored here. I came to know the information is stored here. So like this, what I'll do, without login, proper login, I'll directly, because I know this address. So if I know this address, directly I can use that URL and I can log in into this and I can check what are the things that are there. And if it is necessary, I can do anything to this particular information. So what is happening? You are violating. This is a mediator you are violating and directly are jumping from here to here. That means you are bypassing the security. Then even if the person is bypassing this, it should not display the information. Okay. If it is displaying, that means there is a loophole somewhere in your program. Something has been happened so that the people are entering into this without any proper channel. So what is your proper channel? You have to go here. This will going to take the different data and it will going to give. But what you are doing, you are ignoring this. Directly you know that came to know the address is coming from here, the data is coming from here. Directly without information you are directly going there and you are tracking this. So this is what bypassing the security, and you are trying to break up the integrity constraints. So if you do like this, you have been not following. That means your database is or your application is not that much suitable for this, because with the help of GUI, what we'll be doing, we are going to develop the applications. Lot of applications we are going to do. So GUI will be due. Now each application is linked with somewhere database. So say something like this application, like I have one application where the user wants to get the reports or he wants the marks. So he'll be going over here, marks data. So when I use this particular, what I'm trying to enter, I'll try to enter my roll number. Now this will going to get the database from the roll number database. Now I want to apply the exam. So what will do, you enter the application window, there you'll be entering your application related to your fees, your subjects and all the things, and you'll pay the fees. Now this will going to store somewhere in the database. Okay. Now together two database has been stored somewhere in one table. Now this will only knows to the admin or the programmer who had developed this. But for you, this is one database. For you, this is one database. but the programmer knows that this all has been combined somewhere. Now, if the person knows this particular address, then he will destroy everything. So you are bypassing the security. So this should not be done. So that is non-subversion rule. Now this is about your EF card rules. Any doubt regarding the EF card rules?
Sir, eighth one I didn't understand. Can you please once say me the eighth one? Eighth rule?
Yes, beta.
Eighth rule I didn't understand, sir. Please can you please explain me?
Okay, I'll tell you. Yeah. What is this eighth rule says? Whatever the data I'm storing on the database, it should be independent. So as I told you, no, independence is what? Platform independent. So if I'm using Microsoft, that means my database, MySQL database I'm using, okay, and I install my I'm using the operating system as my Microsoft Windows 10. This is my Microsoft Windows 10. So Microsoft Windows 10 if I'm using, and my database also has been developed over there. There I'm trying to store my data. Then you may use your mobile. Okay, your mobile is Android. So when I'm trying to retrieve the data from the Android with my Microsoft, it should not allow me. Is it right?
Okay. Yeah.
Is it right? Is it going to restrict you?
Yeah, it will,
We are
sir.
using an Android mobile to access the data that has been stored on the operating system. If I say don't allow this person who is using Android, then where is the physical data independence? It is not independent. You are dependent. That means compulsory. It is saying that if you have to use Microsoft desktop only to access the Microsoft database. It's not like that. If you are saying like that, then there is no independence. It should allow you. It should not restrict you. Okay, it should allow. If I'm using any other operating system, my operating system Android, and your operating system is some Mac OS, then there should be a bridge to translate your information. Like as many times I was telling you, like I speak Telugu and you speak French. So if I go on speaking in Telugu, you may not understand. If you go on speaking in French, I may not understand. It is what? It is dependent language.
Dependent. Yeah.
It is dependent. So what I'll do in order to translate my system, I'll be asking the mediator to translate my both of the things. Then the mediator is independent. Okay? He can understand both the languages. Okay? Physically, whatever the data you are storing, it should be independent of all the application that they accessed by the database. Okay? So I'm using the French computer. So my computer will be having the French language. My keyboard is French language. Okay, so for your sake, I cannot change my keyboard to English. Okay, whether I'm typing in the French also, my application is also French application. But when I'm trying to pick up the data from your database, it should not disturb my physical structure. What is my physical structure? My physical structure is Microsoft OS. I will not for you. I cannot change my structure. Okay, so my structure should be like that. And it should not impact on my data whenever you are asking any information from my side. That means if you ask something from me, I will give the answer for you, but the answer should be in your language. Okay, the translator should be there only. Okay, not should be like I'm typing in French. The French language should store in my computer. It's not like that. It should translate into English, and the data should store in English only because my structure is English. Okay, so I should not restrict the person. Okay, you are giving the French. I should not restrict you. Give the French. I'll give the answer in the English. You translate in your French. That means the other end, the person, when he receives the answer from my side, he'll be going to get in French only. Okay, so my data, whichever that is stored in my structure, whatever I design my structure, it is in the English. That will not going to affect. That is what he wants to say, the physical data and the independence. So the original structure should not disturb because of some other purpose. Okay,